During the 1870s, there was a group of Chinese immigrants working in Chicago. The Chinese laborers started coming over to work on the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad. They recruited over 80% of the Chinese for laborers. Once the railroad was completed in 1869, the Chinese then moved on to find more work, some of the workers going to Chicago. Although the Chinese can be dated back as far as 1870, the first claimed Chinese immigrant to arrive in Chicago was T.C. Moy, who arrived in 1878. When he arrived, and found little prejudice, he encouraged his fellows to join him. During the time of 1890, there were around 560 Chinese in the city of Chicago. They took on their own businesses, such as small shops, restaurants, and laundromats. The first Chinese community was placed around Van Buren and Clark Streets in Chicago. In 1905, due to the discrimination against the Chinese people in California, they boycotted American trade in China. The news of this eventually circulated to reach Chicago. Landlords who rented their units out to them raised their prices. At such a large rate, many of the occupants could not afford to pay rent. Half of the population was forced to move south because of the increased rent prices. They moved to Cermak and Wentworth Avenue. These streets soon became the centralized location for Chinatown. The largest immigration of Chinese came during the 1950s through the 1960s. During this time, Chicago was home to between 7,000 and 14,000 Chinese immigrants. Due to increased crowding after the expansion, this led for another need to expand even further. This led the Chinese to 26th Street into Bridgeport. They bought homes and started businesses in the area. There are many job opportunities for the Chinese in Chinatown. They include grocery stores, restaurants, food processing factories, and much more, all maintained by the Chinese who hire Chinese. Chinatown is a cultural identity and heritage marker for Chinese Americans. Many of them, who do not live in Chinatown, go to Chinatown for their groceries, food, items, and publications. It is a tourist attraction to those who do not live, work, or shop in the town. It is an introduction into Chinese culture and cuisine for people who wish to learn more about the Chinese.